Welcome back to live coverage of the National Individual Championships from the George Odlum Stadium. And we're going right into the Youth Girls 200 meter series. We have coming up this afternoon the 200 meter series, the prelims for the girls, youth, boys, youth, and women. The women's long jump open, women's javelin throw open, the men's 200 meter dash prelims as well, and the 800 meter finals for boys, youth, women, and men, as well as the 4x100 meter relays for men and women. So that's all coming up. We'll give you results from this morning's action here at the George Odlum Stadium. We're getting set for heat number 1. Just trying to get the heat sheets for this event. You see pace setters in, looks like lane 6. And in lane 5, we have a young lady from the Grosley Athletics. 105 right there in the middle of your screen, I can tell you, is Frisian Jean-Baptiste. Number 8, Davia Vitalis from Abilene. And next to her, inside her, Tyra Averill of Night Riders. They're all trailing. I think it's Hannah Charles of Rockets Athletics. Way out in front in this one. Taking the heat very, very comfortably. Not sure how many heats we have in this one, but we saw this young lady really taking this one by the scruff of the neck and winning in very straightforward fashion. Jean-Baptiste of pace setters coming in a fairly distant second, I must say. Some of these clubs competing for the first time this season: pace setters, Abilene, Grosley Athletics, Clariane De Rose of Abilene, hands crossed in lane 6. Would have competed this morning in the 100 meter series. Sierra Tina Hilaire through to the finals of the 100 meters as well. Number 52, Monstars Athletics Club, 14 years old. So I believe that's Rihanna Marta of Abilene in lane 2. Sierra Tina Hilaire, Monstars in lane 4. As I said, Claudiana DeRose of Abilene in lane 6. Updated heat sheets coming through. Always the way, just when you've found a way around things, the actual thing comes through. So, Sierra Tina Hilaire, former juvenile champion. Well, that would have been just a couple of years ago for her. I'm still in her final year as a juvenile athlete, but she won't get any juvenile competition this year, unfortunately. DeRose still with her arms folded. Doesn't look terribly impressed. 15 years old. Abilene Wildcats, of course. Abilene University in Texas in the US. And there's also the Abilene Wildcats Club over in Trinidad and Tobago. So the Abilene name travels well. Two Abilene athletes, one from Monstars. And they're off. And it's Hilaire taking over early, but DeRose trying to get back into it. Hilaire, though, trying to make up for what she felt was a somewhat disappointing run this morning. And with DeRose having actually pulled up, it's going to be Hilaire taking this one comfortably, and DeRose is going to need a little bit of medical attention. As we see Sierra Tina Hilaire crossing the line with lots of daylight between herself and Marta in second place. Marta crossing the line right about now on our replay. And a little bit further back, down at the bend, we have the start of the 100-meter straight. Young DeRose receiving some medical attention. And as we alluded to earlier, some of the athletes competing today for the first time this season, some of the athletes, their preparation for the year, and certainly for this meet, would have been compromised by protocols and limitations in terms of their ability to train and interact with their coaches and their teams. She's being taken care of, the medical team getting her patched up, and we're getting set as well for the long jump. Long jump woman. Seeing Ivanka Elik just walking away from the camera. First time she'll be in action today. Actually, we are on the long jump right now. And Carissa Augustin, the season leader as far as this event is concerned. Now we're seeing Miss Elik. And as they're called up, we have the opportunity to just go through the start list. Ivanka Ellick in lane 2, Naomi London. First time she's appearing this season. A very talented young competitor, has won medals at the CUT Games 2 or 3 years ago, competing for pace setters. Amara Bissett of Rockets, Erica Gasper of Survivors, Kashama Ince of pace setters, and you see on your screen there, well, Kashama Ince looks like she's out, and Olivia Nicholas of pace setters as well. Going back into the blocks. 25-24, the season lead in this one, and that's Aliyah Estafor, who we'll be seeing in the long jump shortly. They're off and running. Look out for Naomi London. She's already looking like breaking the stagger. London is going to come into the home straight, unsurprisingly, ahead of everyone else. And it's Naomi London all by herself. And the race on for second and third. It looks like Amara Bissett is going to take that second spot, with Nicholas of pace setters in third. The top two advance by virtue of place, and the next two fastest times from the 3 heats combined will also advance to the final. 8 going through to the final, 6 by virtue of place, and 2 by virtue of time. Getting set for the boys. The boys 200-meter dash under 18. Alton Joseph Knight Riders. Was in action earlier in the 100-meter dash. Sergio McKenzie, Rockets Athletics. Dequan Louis of the Sports Academy in lane 5. Lester Emmanuel of Schwazel. And a couple of withdrawals in this one, Kanye Tanner and Sadiq Serville ought to have been going in this heat. They will not be putting in an appearance. So the season leader in this event, Lennon Leos, 21.60, but we're going to be taking in, just before we get to the start of the 200, a little bit of the preparation for long jump. A number of these athletes actually coached by one of the finest long jumpers St. Lucia has seen, Miss Makiba Al-Seed. Eight young ladies in the long jump. You'll get a chance to go through them momentarily. They're getting set for the start of the 200 as well. First heat in the boys. So we'll go through the season leaders and the entrants for the women's long jump momentarily, right after the conclusion of heat number 1. Joseph lane 2, Mackenzie lane 4, Louis lane 5, Emmanuel lane 6. They're off and running. Mackenzie probably the favorite for this one, and he takes off in a hurry. Breaks the stagger, hits the home straight with daylight between himself and the young man in second place from Sports Academy, Dequan Louis. And it's all Sergio Mackenzie, Rockets, taking this heat. First heat in this event, very comfortably. 4 preliminaries, 4 heats of this event. It's Mackenzie in first. He takes the qualifying spot, 22.90 seconds is flash time. Personal record for him came in with a seed time of 23.03. Heat number 2, we should be seeing the likes of Kadeem Larcher, Denzel Phillips, and Forbes Duplessis. Several athletes missing from this one. On your screen, Forbes Duplessis. Even start here for these 3 athletes. But a young man from Rockets, Kadeem Larcher, storming to the front. And he's holding the lead. And it looks as though he will take this one with very little trouble and get that spot in the final. Just awaiting his flash time, Kadeem Larcher. Runs 23.13, a little bit slower than the last heat, 23.13 for Kadeem Larcher. Is a season's best for him though. Coming in with 23.22, so a slight improvement for him as well. See in the back there the javelin throw women also going on. So we have 3 events taking place simultaneously. The heats of the 200, the javelin throw women, and of course the long jump about to get underway. And as we look at the long jump, the official on the side there, we spoke about her earlier. She's actually a former Youth Olympic Games, was it Makiba? Youth Olympic Games medalist in the javelin throw. Set a personal best this year at University of Missouri. Rochelle Etienne I believe, yeah, I think she may have the junior record in this event, which is taking place right now. But back to the 200-meter series, Seat 3, Roger Moffat of Choiseul in Heat 2, in lane 2. Guyan Charlemagne Rockets in lane 3. Anwar Wells Elite lane 4. Roger Phillip Rockets lane 5. Nelvin Ariste Night Riders lane 6. And Darnell Vitalis Abilene lane 7. Anwar Wells of Elites running away with this one. It's all Anwar Wells taking that qualifying spot by virtue of his position. Remember, this is the youth boys. So these are all under 18. Wells time 23.48, slight improvement from his previous best effort this season, 23.55 that was. So he's improved by a little bit in winning this heat. Of course, he'll be pressed further in the final of the event tomorrow. Trevlyn Oscar just going through her paces in the javelin throw. Six girls entered in javelin throw. Fourth and final heat here in the 200-meter youth boys preliminaries. Danny Mathrev Night Riders is in lane 2. We also have on screen there Ziquan Hippolyte of Survivors 187 in lane 8. Kushel St. Rose of Pace Setters is in lane 6. And Laverne Jean-Baptiste of Abilene is set to occupy lane 7. Kushel St. Rose on your screen there, along with Laverne Jean-Baptiste, and now joined by Ziquan Hippolyte. And so it'll be just those three. Danny Matre of Night Riders having dropped out. So some problem with the start there. Let's see what the officials need to do to resolve it. They haven't made any indication, so we don't know whether the young man false started. He did come out of the blocks early, but you're not sure if he heard something or if there was some other issue. But they're all three safe, so we're going to do this again. Do it properly this time. They're off and running. First time on the track this year, and Kushel St. Rose is looking very unbothered, almost jogging home. Such is the gap between himself and the athlete in seconds. Slight glance over his shoulder to ensure that the young man is well behind him and that he has nothing to worry about. 23.92, as I indicated, the first time that he would have competed for the year in this event. So, so that would be a season best for him. He has, however, previously run 23.02. That's in last year at the National Junior Championships. Last meet actually held in St. Lucia prior to this season, March of last year, in the final of that event. So we have two field events taking place right now. I don't think either is actually underway, but we have the javelin throw warm-ups continuing for the javelin throw and for the long jump, both women's events taking place. I think they're going through their final paces. Season leader in the long jump, Carissa Augustine, actually walking across the field. I don't know if she's just checking up on something, ensuring that all is well. She's walking across with an athlete, with an official.
We would see Carissa in the 200 meters.
Oh, she's going across the 200 meters. Okay. Carissa actually one of the three fastest in the event, the 200 meters this season, along with being the season leader in long jump. So she's having a pretty good season. Amber Lucien, better known as a discus thrower, represented St. Lucia in discus throw at the Carifta Games. I believe that would have been in Grenada, 2016. Has won several national titles in that event, but she also fancies herself as a bit of a javelin thrower and it's not looking too bad at all. From Soufrière, but competes for the Choiseul Athletics Club. So the women's 200 is in prospect. We have 3 heats in the women's 200, so the top 2 will advance from each heat to the final. Anya Henry of Night Riders is on the screen right now. Also in this heat, Nicole Farrell. Samani Herman running for the first time this season from Grosley Athletics. From pace setters, we have Nadia Albert. We just saw Alia Esther 4 of Survivors as well. And Nicole Farrell is in lane 2. So this pause gives me a good chance to reset and take a look at the young ladies once again. Nicole Farrell, number 80 from Night Riders, is in lane 2. Next to her, Nalia Albert from Pace Setters in lane 3. Alia Esther 4 is in lane 5 from Survivors, season leader in this event, Samani Herman from Grosley, and then Anya Henry from Night Riders. But a lot of the running should come from lane 5, Alia Esther 4, who will be pushed certainly by Albert and Matre, although they're running for the first time this season. .25.24, the best time this season for Alia Esther 4, with a big wind on that occasion. Will she need to summon that sort of speed this time? Not really. Samani Herman trailing her by some distance, and so too Nalia Albert. Nalia Albert actually fading into 4th with Nicole Farrell behind her, and Anya Henry coming in for that third position. So she puts herself in a position to possibly take one of those two qualifying spots by time. So Estefor taking this heat, her best time this season, 25.24. This time she runs 26.03. Again, not really bothered, not really challenged. She will, in later rounds, be challenged, however, by the likes of Kimani Alphonse. Kimani, the national junior record holder for the 400-meter dash. And she should be coming up in this next heat, I believe. So we'll hope to see her as we see Trevelyn Oscar of Monsters Athletics Club in the javelin throw women. Right, and we're going to turn our attention now to the 200 meters heat number 2. And Kayla Charles there in the blue tunic of survivors. Number 175, she's in lane 2. We have Mikhail Avril of Night Riders in lane 3. Kiana Casimir has had a pretty good season so far. You see she's got her Kiki headband representing Rockets. Kimani Alphonse is absent, unfortunately, and Malaika Destang from Survivors is in lane 7. So earlier we saw Hannah Charles. She's a youth athlete, but she is one of the fastest girls on island this year in that event. So no Kimani Alphonse, unfortunately. We will have, however, Kayla Charles, Michaela Avril, Kiana Casimir, and Malaika Destang. As we see Charles, parents normally here to support her. They were unable to come through today, but I'm sure they'll be watching this stream sometime this evening. Avril from Night Riders. Casimir from Rockets. 10th on island this year in terms of times, performances. And Destang just ahead of her in 9th. Kayla Charles, however, is in the top 5, so you can expect to see a pretty strong run from her in lane 2. Never easy to run out of those lanes where you're not quite seeing what's going on. They're being asked to stand once, or they have been asked to stand once again. Assistant starter just having a word, it looks like, with Miss Avril. She's acknowledging that there is some sort of issue, and she's asking perhaps for some assistance with her blocks. Just have somebody to anchor her blocks for her, ensuring that her measurements are correct. Or it could have been that she was asking for permission to adjust her blocks, which she's doing. Not really optimal for the rest of the athletes. They would have done their warm-ups and time to get ready for the event. So she's being asked to just ensure that she's comfortable so that there are no further delays. It appears that that is indeed the case, and so we should be good to go. The starters are at the ready. She is finally at the ready. All is well. Keela Charles a favorite for this heat, but Kiana Casimir and Malaika Destang will also be fancying their chances of sneaking into the finals by virtue of their times. So the top two athletes from this heat will go through to the final. Casimir off to a pretty quick start, but Charles takes over as they come into the home straight. And it's Charles out in front. Destang is in it as well, with Casimir holding on for third. Casimir will hope for the opportunity to advance by virtue of her time, and the top two will be happy to have booked their spots in the final of this event. Keela Charles, 26.40, very much in line with her results so far this season. So she'll be reasonably pleased with her effort. 26.40, she's run 26.32 previously. So she'll be hoping to improve on that in the final of this one. You see a number of the older girls, the juniors, the under-20 athletes and the senior athletes, adopting a little bit more of a canny strategy than the senior athlete, than the junior athletes, I should say, the youth athletes. Youth athletes just busting out the blocks and going at 100%. These older ladies, a little bit more experienced, they're keeping a little bit of something in the tank and holding it back for the final. They also know, of course, that they are able to get, they know that they just need to finish in the top two and they have a spot in the final, and so they are doing just that, not trying to expend too much energy. You see at the back there, two of our overseas athletes, Dylan Edwin, Armani Modest. They'll be going as well in the 200 meters. Dylan Edwin, one of the favorites for the 100, probably the favorite for the 100. Carissa Augustin, we spoke about her a little while ago. You see her on screen just walking back to her blocks. She's in lane 2 from Survivors. We'll be seeing in long jump as well, Shanaz Paul from Grosley in lane 4. Maya Hippolyte from Survivors in lane 5. And then Faith Regis from Grosley in lane 6. Very nice start there from Augustine, and she's already reaping the benefits because she's right up there with Maya Hippolyte, but Maya Hippolyte hits the home straight very, very well. And it looks as though she is going to take this heat fairly comfortably from Augustine. Actually, the third and fourth fastest girls this year. So it was always going to be a close one between those two. Hippolyte stopping the clock at a season best 25.06. It's a good run from her. And Augustine 25.68. That therefore the young lady from Survivors a lifetime best mark, supplanting her best run from way back in 2018, and she ran 25.26. So It's a really good effort from her as we get set for the men's 200 meters coming up momentarily. Long jump women happening now. Haven't been able to get any of the marks yet. I think that just a couple of jumps have been attempted thus far, but just to let you know who's in the event. For the women's long jump, we have Brianna James competing unattached, Aliyah Estefor from the Survivors, Summer Jules from the Sports Academy, Siobhan Pascal from the Sports Academy we saw earlier in the shot put, Carissa Augustin, the season leader in this event, going over 5 meters so far this season from Survivors.
In the women's javelin throw, which is happening now, we have Amber Lucien of Choiseul with a launch of 33.80 meters, leading currently. And standing in second, we have Michaela Kojo of SP Survivors with 24.75 meters.
Malaika Desang, we just saw her running the 200. She's a young lady of many talents, and she's getting ready for the javelin throw as well. Men's 200, the top one from each heat will advance. Jean-Luc Edwin of Elite in lane 1, Sigmund Daniel Survivors in lane 3, Dylan Edwin unattached in lane 4, number 199. You see him on your screen with the yellow sleeve. Arthur Lee Williams Sports Academy and Armani Modest of Elite. Those two are two of the ones to look out for, Edwin and Modest.
They are off.
And the race is all between Edwin and Modest. Edwin leading comfortably, looks around. Modest looks right back at him, and they're across the line, virtually neck and neck. We'll see momentarily which of them actually did cross the line first, but looking very comfortable, the two of them, two collegiate athletes, one at Texas A&M Commerce, the other at Lindenwood, a school with quite a bit of a tradition with St. Lucian athletes. And so those two very familiar with one another. They would have seen each other a lot on the circuit. They would know each other from back here in St. Lucia. And they're back home and taking first and second in this one, regardless which one gets the spot in the finals by virtue of place. It's fairly certain that they will both be able to get in on time. Aliyah Estefor a little bit behind the board, a lot behind the board, leaving quite a bit there. I don't know, Makiba, if you know her coach, I'm sure her coach probably won't be impressed. Her coach will say that she could have done a little bit better with that approach.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
We know in the jumping defense, long jump, triple jump, it's important to be on that board and get those centimeters in. Every centimeter counts, so it's very important that she gets on the board. Getting ready for two of the men's 200 meters to be underway. In lane 1, we have Donnell Fletcher of Elite. In 2, Mandy Chandler unattached. In 3, Wesley De Riviere, SP Survivors. And in 7, Raul Closelma of Choiseul.
Closelma on your screen right now, men's 200 meter dash open. And it's a red flag for Carissa Augustin as she just runs through, mismanaged her approach.
Yeah, fresh off of the 200 meters. So maybe a reason why approach is a little bit off there.
Always tough, and I'm sure, Makiba, you'd be able to give us some perspective to be able to go between events, having done your warm-ups for the long jump, having to go and do the 200, and then coming back to the event for which you had warmed up and done your approach and so on. You're not going all out in the long jump run-up, and then there you are in the 200 going all out and having to come back and recalibrate your approach entirely.
Yes, but we hope she makes the adjustments. 2 more jumps in this competition, right? Start of V2 of the men's 200 meters is underway. Fletcher in 1, Chandler in 2, De Riviere in 3, Kozelma in 7.
They are off and running. Kozelma out in front. And Kozelma laboring a little bit, it looks like, but laboring his way to first place and to that spot in the final by virtue of place. Young man from Choiseul, 20 years old. Running 23.36. As we get ready for our next heat in this event, we'll just take a quick look in on the long jump. That was Jules from Sports Academy. Summer Jules, you're correct. There are actually 2 Jules on there.
And as heat 3 of the men's 200 meter is getting set to be underway, we have 3 athletes pulling out of this event.
We'll get to the 200 momentarily.
That will be Siobhan Pascal from the Sports Academy. We saw her in the women's shot put.
Back to the 200, and one of the season leaders, in fact the second fastest man so far this season in the 200, certainly domestically, is Miguel Chalry. We saw him on the screen a little while ago. 21.73 seconds, his best time. And just outside him is Kemuel Pelage, former schoolmates, and then Lequan Antoine, former schoolmates and former teammates at the school level, because they would have competed together for 5 years at St. Mary's College and formed the basis of some very strong relay teams. But Chalry, the man to watch, 3 withdrawals from this heat. They're off and running. Chalry, Pelage, Antoine. Chalry breaking the stagger. Chalry entering the home straight just ahead of Antoine, but now opening up that gap between them and cruising across the line very, very comfortably.
And we've seen a lot of our senior athletes experienced athletes just cruising into that first place spot, securing that first place qualification just to get into the final.
Yeah, you can see that relaxation in his face. Has a little bit of range. He's run 22.23 today, but he's also competed in the past in the 100 and 400, so has a little bit of range, has a little bit of speed endurance, has a fair bit of pure speed as well. So interesting to see what he is going to produce. The season leader in this event has withdrawn from the heats, that being Lenin Leos. He was scheduled to have come in this heat right here. Instead, we will be seeing Nikel Leo of Survivors, CJ Felix, who represented St. Lucia 2 years ago at the Carifta Games in the Bahamas, of Survivors. CJ, of course, a combined events athlete at the Carifta Games. Here, just doing the 200, no combined event at these national championships. Christian Henry of Night Riders in lane 3, is organizing his blocks. Latin Nicholson of Survivors, I believe he's a Jamaican. Yes. And Tyler Toussaint, also of Survivors, just in conversation there with the assistant starter. And Asa Lionel, unattached. We saw him doing double duty already today. This morning he was running, he was doing physio.
Man of many talents.
Oh yes, and he is going for the 200-meter series. He's in heat number 4. Leo Survivors, Felix Survivors, Henry Night Riders, Nicholson Survivors, Toussaint Survivors, and Lionel unattached. Nicholson, a pretty nippy competitor in this event, but Lionel not to be underestimated. He's got excellent range, as you just saw Nicholson right there. Nicholson and Lionel likely to be the 2 leading contenders to emerge from this preliminary heat. They're off. Nicholson and Lionel, as in between them, Toussaint gets hurt, but it's Nicholson. Those long strides just pulling away from Asa Lionel. And Toussaint looks as though he's going to finish the race on his own 2 feet. He's walking to the finish. Pulled up, but he's should be getting him there. So he's, yeah.
He's actually in the final for the 100 meter. So kudos to him for finishing the race.
The last of our 200-meter series this afternoon. Finals will be tomorrow, as we get a glance at 21.79, the time for Nicholson, actually a season's best for him, and again being pushed by Asa Lionel. So Asa Lionel running 22 flat. It should be a fairly interesting final of this one tomorrow. Still at least one more finalist to be declared or decided in this final preliminary, as we see Ricus Alphonse. Well, we'll get back to that in a little while, but on screen right now in the women's long jump, We have Miss Leah Estefor, formerly of St. Joseph's Convent, now of Survivors. Still not quite on that board. Very talented jumper, though.
And we're going to the final heat of the men's 200-meter dash. We have in 1, Eureka Alphonse of Chouzin, McAfee Matthew in 2 from Sports Academy, Sharik Justin in 3, SP Survivors, Noel Tribune in 5, SP Survivors, Naeem Anderson in 6, Elite, and Jano Henry, SP Survivors in 8.
Jano Henry running out of lane 8. Going to be tough for him, but he certainly has had the pedigree so far this season and has run really well. And it looks as though he will be able to stave off the challenge coming from the center lanes and will in fact be able to get into the final in straightforward fashion.
Yep, and it's very important for you to secure that first win, the win in each heat, just to secure your spot in that final.
Yeah.
As we were saying earlier in the 100 meters, you never know. You could come in second and still not make that.
22.05 season best for him. So he gets into the final. I would think the first heat would have produced one of the two fastest, one of the four fastest non-winning times. So we should see advancement from that, but we'll see how that shakes out momentarily. So looking at the finalists for the 200-meter dash boys in the first instance, we have from Knight Riders Alton Joseph, from Abilene Laverne Jabatiste, from Survivors Denzel Phillips, from Sports Academy Dequan Louis, from Pace Setters Keshel St. Rose running 23.92, from Elite Anwar Wells running 23.48, from Rockets Kadeem Larcher running 23.13, and from Rockets running 22.90, Sergio McKenzie leading the pack into the final of the youth boys 200 meters. In the javelin throw area, Nikela Kodra of Survivors. And Summer Jules, we've seen her a couple of times previously in this event. Sports Academy, 16 years old, 161. Our next two track events, in fact, will also be finals. These two field events are finals as well. As we see, Summer Jules should be getting an update from the long jump area momentarily, but Summer Jules over there completing a latest attempt in the long jump, and Malaika Destang, we've seen her in the 200. We'll see her, I think she may be in the, as well tomorrow in the high jump, where we're seeing her as well here in the javelin throw. And Malaika, in fact, also is a cricketer. I believe she's a wicket keeper for Castries, perhaps. I am not certain what club she plays with, or club or district she plays with, but she's a wicket keeper as well. So Malaika, a young lady of many, many talents, has competed for St. Lucia at the Windward Islands school games here in 2018, I believe. Seeing a lot of Siobhan Pascal from Sports Academy, 17 years old, competitor number 167. And again, we will be giving you some of the distances from these two events, the long jump and the javelin throw. Amber Lucien from Choiseul, operating off a short approach, a little bit flat, and I don't think, has she made an impression? She does not appear to have made an impression, so there's nothing for the officials to measure. So that will be a no throw from her. Still very comfortably in the lead, I believe. In the long jump, Michelle Baptiste, national record holder in this event, one of our older national records. And Aliyah Estefor of the survivors. That one looked a little bit better. I don't know if Makiba went over there to have a chat with her. She's got a lot more of the board on that occasion. Nia Jules. So it's Nia Jules in javelin and Summer Jules in long jump. Both of Sports Academy. Don't think there's any relation, but I'm not certain. And here we see Augustine again. Carissa Augustine with some kinesio tape on her calf and just about her knee. Her right calf and her left knee and lower thigh. Not looking very comfortable at all. As we said, she did have a big effort in the 200-meter dash. Not looking very comfortable at all. She has gone over 5 meters, 5.17 meters so far this season. Aliyah Estefor, the second best athlete in this event thus far this season. And last year, Carissa actually at the Independence Games, Carissa would have set a personal best for the long jump. And on that occasion, she actually placed second to Aliyah, 5.60 and 5.61 their jumps last year at the Independence Games. So two of Sanusha's better long jumpers at present, but Carissa not looking as though she can entirely give of her best today. Brianna James competing unattached. Should be getting some updates from those areas right about now, the long jump and perhaps the javelin throw as well. And Estefor has set her name at the top of the list so far in the long jump. As we said, Carissa Augustine really struggling, 4.33 meters so far. Brianna James unattached, 4.63 meters. The young lady on your screen right now is Summer Jules, so 4.71 meters, her best effort so far for third place. And just behind her, Siobhan Pascal, also Sports Academy, 4.67. For second place, that should be actually. And then Siobhan Pascal in third at 4.67. And leading the pack, as I said, Aliyah Estefor of Survivors 5.14. Probably on that last attempt that she took, where she was a little bit closer to the board, where I was speculating that she may have been getting a little bit of extra coaching from somebody making their way over to the long jump area. And in the javelin throw, Amber continues to lead the way fairly comfortably. We'll get to her in a moment, but in fifth position, Nia Jules from Sports Academy, 15.81 meters. In fourth position, Anna Claxton from Night Riders, 20.52, 20.52. In third from Monstars, Traveling Oscar, 21.10. In second from Survivors, Nikela Kodra, 24.75. And leading the way, Amber Lucien from Chazelle, 33.80 meters. Results coming through as well from the women's 200 meters. Maya Hippolyte leading the way with her new personal best, 25.06. Win 2.8 meters per second. Aliyah Estefor in second, 26.03. Kayla Charles, 26.40. Clarissa Augustine, 25.68. Malika Destang, 26.78. All of those are survivors. Samani Human, 27.15. Anya Henry, Night Riders, 27.15. And Kiana Casimir of Rockets, 27.12. This is your event leader right now. Oh, that looks like a solid effort from her there. 5.14 her best so far. Let's see if she can improve on that. And whilst we await confirmation while we wait confirmation of those distances, just an update from the 200. The finalists of the 200, Armani Modests, 21.68. He, well, they actually didn't separate them in that heat. So Armani Modest and Dylan Edwin, they didn't separate them, given that their times were such that they would both advance. So they didn't separate them. They gave them joint first place. You can't get joint first place in a final, but in the heats, I guess, joint first place for those two. So they both advanced with the times, with identical times of 21.68 in the final. Of course, you'd go down to the thousandth of a second or even below that. Royal Clauselma is also in the final along with Latin Nicholson. Latin Nicholson 21.79. Jeno Henry, Survivors 22.05. Miguel Shalry 22.23 of Rockets, and Clauselma 23.36. Issa Lionel 22.00 and Noel Tribune 22.26. So Lionel and Tribune get those small cues, but they will be in the final nonetheless and will fancy their chances just as anyone else.
We just saw a clean throw in the javelin by Trevelyan Oscar of Monsters, hoping that she improves on a 21.10 meter throw. I'm gonna take this opportunity to shout out all of our sponsors for making this possible. We have Blue Waters, Real Foods, Flow, National Lotteries Authority, St. Lucia Olympic Committee, Massey Stores, Finite Graphics, and Always. Thank you so much for making this possible. So moving on with the continuation of our competition. Coming up next, we have the 800 meters, and we see athletes walking across the field, going to the start line of the 800 meters. In the first section of the women's 800 meter run, which is an open event, we have Shanice Critton withdrawing from the event, but we have Nibia Montrap of Suzel. Nibia is a multiple character competitor, so we will see her in action in the 800 meters. We also have Christiana Ramery of Pace Setters. We have Gianna McGlaw of Rockets, Destiny Wallace of Rockets, and Tomika Valse of Rockets. For this 2021 season, Tomika Valse of Rockets has the fastest time of 2 minutes 40.19 seconds. We hope to see that she improves upon that time. Also in that heat is Montrop, Nibia Montrop, with a season's best of 2 minutes 45.28 seconds. It's going to be an interesting competition. We also have Gianna McGlaw of Rockets in there as well, with her season's best and a personal best of 2 minutes 42.92 seconds. Valse will be the young lady all in black, lane 8. In 7 we have Wallace, in 6 McGlaw, in 5 Ramery, and in 4 Montrop. This event will be a timed final, so the fastest top 3 times will be given first, second, and third place in this event. This will be section 1 of 2. The young ladies are under starters order, so they get ready to start the race. We have Montrop in the red vest in 4, Ramery in yellow. In orange, the first orange, we have McGlaw. Second orange, we have Wallace. And then in black, we have Valse. And they are off. Now the 800 will be 2 laps around the track. They're on their first lap. currently about to break the stagger. Leading the race after 200 meters, we would have in the yellow there, that would be Ramery of Pace Setters, followed by Valse of Rockets, Montrop, Ramery takes the early lead there, Valse in a close second, followed by Montrop. Bell lap with the bell. Still leading the race is Krishana Ramery of Pace Setters. Montrop and Valse close by in second. With a little over 200 meters left to go. Still Ramery in first, but we see that Valse is making a move as well as Montrop making a move. .200 meters left to go. Montrop in first leading so far, and we have Valse Rockets sitting in second. .100 meters left to go, and we see that Montrop is going away with the wind, and Valse sitting in second.
Yeah, Makiba Nivea would have been a little bit disappointed in her last outing. I think she went out pretty fast at the last league meet and faded into third, or perhaps it was fourth, but she faded well back from the pack. And so she came here to seek retribution and has earned it. So good for her. Also a national footballer, this young Montrop. And I believe she would be seeking to represent St. Lucia next year at the under-20 championships. So she would be of age next year to represent St. Lucia at the CONCACAF under-20 football championships. So she'll be looking forward to that in 2022.
So 2:36.23, that would be a season's best.
That is the season lead for St. Lucia.
Taking over that lead from Valse, who came in second in that heat. 2 minutes 40.19 seconds, and she ran.
And St. Lucia, actually two of the better 800-meter runners that St. Lucia would have produced in recent times in the stadium. Unfortunately, they unable to compete, having come off long collegiate seasons, but they're both here, and one I believe is officiating, and the other one's running the 100.
Yes, we saw we saw Zadie St. Louis in the 100 meters.
And we're speaking here of Camilla Monrock and of course Zadie St. Louis.
Well, lane set, he too is about to get started, and we have in lane 2 Shamaria Charles Sports Academy, in 3 Kizzy Placid Pace Setters, in 4 Naya Jules Sports Academy, in 5 Rihanna Mata Abilene, in 6 Abigail Herman Rockets Athletics, and in 7 Chloe Francis Pace Setters. We have seen Naya Jules in action in the shot put, in the javelin, and now she's taking on the 800 meters. Jules also would have had the third fastest time coming into the national championships with 2 minutes 43.68 seconds.
But Kizzy Placid and Rihanna Marta again, as well as Chloe Francis, would not have run at all this season. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of challenge they can put up in this field.
And that is Chloe Francis of Pace Setters.
Yeah,
We see
this
Shamaria
sort of
Charles.
season interrupted, you really don't know what to expect coming into national championships, because a number of the athletes, this is the first time on the track. So even though you might have season's bests, you might have people who have competed already for the season and feel fairly confident about themselves, but they would not have seen some of their rivals until today. A little bit unorthodox there. She looks like she might be struggling. She's got her mask on her hand, keeps ducking her head, wasting a lot of energy, but she's leading pretty comfortably. Shamaria Charles.
That would be Shamaria Charles, yes, of the Sports Academy. Still very young. Not the youngest in the field, but still pretty young in that group. Then we have...
She's producing a very, very strong run. Again, despite some really unorthodox mechanics, she's managing to hold the lead. And she's some distance ahead of anyone else in the field.
And now we see Naya Jules, also of the Sports Academy, trying to hold on to that second place there. She may very well be very fatigued from having competed in 2 events prior. And it's interesting, this is actually a timed final, so the top 3 fastest times will be...
The 3 medalists.
Yeah, the 3 medalists, so...
But again, Chloe Francis, she's been looking all around. Her head has been going side to side, up and down. Regardless of whether she's able to medal here, she's produced a really interesting run, and she's been able to put a stamp on at least this heat as she crosses the line in first place. Shamaria Charles of Sports Academy.
And that would be Francis, Chloe Francis, taken in second, and then Naya Jules held on to third.
And Jules collapsing across the line. As you see a couple of victims of this heat. Jules collapsing across the line, and she's now receiving some medical assistance, some first aid. Rihanna Marta also receiving some assistance just off the screen. Let's see what sort of time Charles was able to produce. 2:36.14. So she, in fact, if that time holds up, takes the national title from Nibia Montrop. And I always dislike, Makiba, the idea of having a time final in a national championship, especially with so few athletes. We had, about 12 athletes in the 800, and there are other ways to accommodate the athletes all in one heat.
Yes,
so I always prefer to be able to run the best against the best and run everyone against one another.
It would have been interesting if we had those ladies run together instead of separately. We probably would have seen faster times for
We
sure.
would have seen faster times. We'd also, I mean,
It would have
the,
been more
the,
competitive.
there's every likelihood that Shamaria would probably have run an even better race,
Yes.
because she was running from in front, and she was clearly uncertain of how she should conduct herself, how she should carry herself, and part of that, who knows, part of that may have been because she just wasn't pressed, and so she just never really got into the running, and yet she was able to produce a time of 2:36 at 14 years old. So it would have been interesting, I think, for us to see her going head to head with the likes of Nibia Montrop and Tomika Valse, and see what she would have been able to produce in that sort of environment, as opposed to running from the front all by herself with nobody within shouting distance of her. As they're off in the men's 800,
The boys 800 meters.
the boys 800 meters. Boys 800 meters, Johnny Herman, Milan Mitchell, and Benik Mann. Ethan Monero pulling out.
So the boys got off to a very quick and strong start, and we have Milan Mitchell taking the lead from early. Mitchell again is one of our multi-event athletes coming up the ranks.
Represented St. Lucia at the CAC Juveniles, I think 2 years ago it would have been.
Yes, 2 years ago.
He was, and I think he may have been one of those who ascended the medal rostrum a couple of times at that meet, which I think was at in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, Trinidad and
Yes.
Tobago. And he's holding on to his lead comfortably. With only 3 boys in this final.
Everybody gets a
Everybody-
medal, as they say. It's always nice knowing that everybody gets a medal, but you also want that medal to be of the best possible color. And so Milan Mitchell, I know his father well. I think he's from Corinth Secondary. One of produces a number of very, very good athletes. As Corinth Secondary. And one of those is Milan Mitchell, who is winning this heat going away.
Going away with the win, confidently cruising. Composure, maintaining all of his composure there at the end.
To 13.97, the time produced by Milan Mitchell. Season's best for him by some 4 seconds. Gianni Human also producing a season's best by about 4 seconds. Finishing in 2:17. So field events done for the afternoon. Long jump, we actually saw a change in the leaderboard for the javelin throw. The young lady from Night Riders taking over, Anna Claxton taking over 3rd place from Trevelyan Oscar of Monstars. Claxton producing a throw of 26.05 meters. Oscar, first time competing this season. I think it would be for a number of the athletes in that event competing for the first time this season. A number of them getting ready as well for CXCs from Monday.
Yep.
Some of them will be doing their CXCs, so wishing them all the best.
And again, we've had a fairly short season.
Short
for
and
meat
disjointed
than
season.
yes.
So we are. I hear them still calling for some of the men for the 800 meters. They should already have reported to the call room, and then we'll be following that up with the relays, the sprint relays 4x1, which will conclude our first day of broadcast from here, the George Odlum Stadium, the National Individual Track and Field Championships. Several of our overseas athletes being represented here today, a number of our former national representatives who would have gone to compete at the CUT Games, Carifta Games, the CAC Juveniles. The George Odlum Stadium, of course, the venue for the 2009 Carifta Games. St. Lucia's most successful outing at the Carifta Games. Outing, we went to your home, so we didn't really go out, but but yes, really good to meet for St. Lucia. Several gold medals, silver, bronze. Unfortunately, we've been shut out for a few years now. And of course, this year there will be no Carifta Games, so nobody will be getting any medals. Next year, I'm hoping to see our young athletes giving out their best over in Guyana. Guyana hosting the Carifta Games for the first time in that event's 50-year history. Next year, of course, it will be 51 years. Technically, it'll be the 49th Carifta Games. The 800-meter men coming up next on track. I think they're still getting the guys together. Our last individual event for the day, where we're going to see the likes of Asa Francis trying to hold off the challenge of Kenrick James, Roel Santoma, Shanik Stanley. Those among some of the contenders. Ilan Albertini is going to be in there as well. Kerwin Andes, Josiah Morrell.
Introducing the all-new 500ml Eco Bottle from Blue Waters. It's easy to open and full of great-tasting sodium-free artesian well water that doesn't spill when you open it thanks to its wide-mouth design. So grab one today. Life is better with Blue Waters.
Coming soon! The same excellent Lucilec service in a new location near Gablewood South. Thanks for your patience.
It's my life and I want more. More time, more power. Pay my Lucilec bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card. Pay direct to Lucilec, my account. I have the power, yeah. Pay online to Lucilec, my account. Anywhere, any day, any hour. Lights are on at home. No more standing in line, no more worrying about my bill. Now I'm all paid up. Got more time to chill, yeah, yeah. Pay my Lucilec bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card.
Introducing the all-new 500ml Eco Bottle from Blue Waters. It's easy to open and full of great-tasting sodium-free artesian well water that doesn't spill when you open it thanks to its wide-mouth design. So grab one today. Life is better with Blue Waters.
Coming soon! The same excellent Lucilec service in a new location near Gablewood South. Thanks for your patience.
It's my life and I want more. More time, more power. Pay my Lucy like bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card. Pay direct to Lucy like my account. I have the power, yeah. Pay online to Lucy like my account. Anywhere, any day, any hour. Lights are on at home. No more standing in line. No more worrying about my bill. Now I'm all paid up. Got more time to chill, yeah, yeah. Pay my Lucy like bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card.
Introducing the all-new 500ml Eco Bottle from Blue Waters. It's easy to open and full of great-tasting sodium-free artesian well water that doesn't spill when you open it thanks to its wide mouth design. So grab one today. Life is better with Blue Waters.
Coming.
Welcome back to live coverage of the National Individual Track and Field Championships here from the George Odlum Stadium. We're about to witness the last individual event, and that would be the men's 800 meter, the last individual event I should say for today, and that would be the 800 meters for men.
We have 5 athletes in the final. We have Kevin Andes, SP Survivors in 3, Kenrick James, Roadbusters in 5, Royal St. Omer Elite in 6, Darwinski Charles, Sports Academy in 7, and Asa Francis, Pace Setters in 9. Asa has the fastest time of the season at 1 minute 57.44 seconds. Kenrick has the second fastest time of the season, 2 minutes 0.59 seconds. 2 minutes. So it will be a very, very interesting final, this one.
Unfortunately, the national record holder in the event opting to go for the 1500 meters, Marbek Edgar, competed for a little while in the USA. But he's opted to go for the 1500 meters, his other best events, which we'll be seeing him in action tomorrow. His best time 1:47.83 in this event, which would be some ways ahead of where Francis has been, at least so far this season. But Edgar actually competed, I think, in the last league meet in the 5,000 meter road race.
If you want.
And he won that. So our two main contenders today are going to be Francis and James.
Well, I wouldn't count out St. Omer.
Not at all. No, I wouldn't count him out.
And all of these young men have some experience in the 400 meter as well, so
Should be an interesting and exciting event to close out our afternoon, at least in terms of individual events, and then we will be following up with the 4x1s, 4x1 women, 4x1 men.
and the athletes are in the starters orders. We see Asa Francis in that yellow vest there.
White flag. So we are getting ready to go. And Rochelle saying yes, it's a white flag. On the marks. And they're off.
Asa Francis and St. Omer already off to a great start.
Francis already with a commanding lead. Of course, he has to be able to hold it. And in fact, he's opening it out just a little bit. Still early going here in the 800.
Hey, and I kind of like his strategy right now, knowing that St. Omer or James can put pressure on him. He's just sticking the lead and hoping to maintain.
He takes the bell, and he takes the bell with just about 15 meters on his trailing rivals.
We see James of Roadbusters making a move into second.
But Francis not lagging, not slowing down at all. And in fact, just holding on to that lead. Can't quite see the distance, but there you go. You can see he's actually opened just a little bit on Kenrick James, whose brother Michael James is also a national record holder. Kenrick James, another athlete from Corinth Secondary. Asa Francis looks as though he's going to run a season's bests. Comes across in just about 150 thereabouts to win the national title from Kenrick James. Should be getting his flash time momentarily, but confident win from him. Led from the front, Makiba took the measure of his rivals from very, very early on, knew what they were about, knew what he was capable of, knew what his game plan was, and he went out there and executed flawlessly.
Yes, that was a good strategy. Like I said earlier, we saw Royal St. Omer struggling there on about 200 meters left to go. Probably because they realized they had let him go a little too far ahead.
Yeah. They're not incapable of staying with him, but it's perhaps given his, especially his prowess, 155, 48 his time, given his prowess in the 400 as well, unwise to let him go out there and sit by himself. 2 minutes 0.53 per second for young James, and 207.74.
That looks like that's a personal best for James. Little over what his season best was of.
We see we just saw the pace setters team, very strong pace setters team. Unfortunately, they will be missing Kimani Alphonse, who did not show up today. Kimani Alphonse at Coppin State in the United States. But they do have Naomi London in there. And a host of other very, very strong competitors in that 4x4. They'll be going up against survivors. Survivors will be in lane 2. You see there. Grosley. Monstars is out. So the 4x4 women and men will finish us up this afternoon as we conclude coverage of day 1 of the national championships from the George Odlum Stadium. First national championship since 2019, of course. Not having had this meet last year. Our first championship meet at this stadium since March of 2020, when we would have had the national junior championships.
And we'll take this time again to shout out our sponsors. Blue Waters, Real Foods, Flow, St. Lucia National Lotteries Authority, St. Lucia Olympic Committee, Massey Stores, Finite Graphics, and Allbiz.
Introducing the all-new 500ml Eco Bottle from Blue Waters. It's easy to open and full of great-tasting sodium-free artesian well water that doesn't spill when you open it thanks to its wide-mouth design. So grab one today. Life is better with Blue Waters.
Coming soon! The same excellent Lucelect service in a new location near Gablewood South. Thanks for your patience.
It's my life and I want more. More time, more power. Pay my Lucelect bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card. Pay direct to Lucelect my account. I have the power, yeah. Pay online to Lucelect my account. Anywhere, any day, any hour. Lights are on at home. No more standing in line. No more worrying about my bill. Now I'm all paid up. Got more time to chill, yeah, yeah. Pay my Lucelect bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card.
Introducing the all-new 500ml Eco Bottle from Blue Waters. It's easy to open and full of great-tasting sodium-free artesian well water that doesn't spill when you open it thanks to its wide-mouth design. So grab one today. Life is better with Blue Waters. Introducing the all-new 500ml Eco Bottle from Blue Waters. It's easy to open and full of great-tasting sodium-free artesian well water that doesn't spill when you open it thanks to its wide-mouth design. So grab one today. Life is better with Blue Waters. Introducing the all-new 500ml Eco Bottle from Blue Waters. It's easy to open and full of great-tasting sodium-free artesian well water that doesn't spill when you open it thanks to its wide-mouth design. So grab one today. Life is better with Blue Waters.
Coming soon! The same excellent Lucelect service in a new location near Gablewood South. Thanks for your patience.
It's my life and I want more. More time, more power. Pay my Lucelect bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card. Pay direct to Lucelect my account. I have the power, yeah. Pay online to Lucelect my account. Anywhere, any day, any hour. Lights are on at home. No more standing in line. No more worrying about my bill. Now I'm all paid up. Got more time to chill, yeah, yeah. Pay my Lucelect bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card.
Introducing the all-new 500ml Eco Bottle from Blue Waters. It's easy to open and full of great-tasting sodium-free artesian well water that doesn't spill when you open it thanks to its wide-mouth design. So grab one today. Life is better with Blue Waters.
Coming soon! The same excellent Lucelect service in a new location near Gablewood South. Thanks for your patience.
It's my life and I want more. More time, more power. Pay my Lucelect bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card. Pay direct to Lucelect my account. I have the power, yeah. Pay online to Lucelect my account. Anywhere, any day, any hour. Lights are on at home. No more standing in line. No more worrying about my bill. Now I'm all paid up. Got more time to chill, yeah, yeah. Pay my Lucelect bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card.
Introducing the all-new 500 ml Eco Bottle from Blue Waters. It's easy to open and full of great-tasting sodium-free artesian well water that doesn't spill when you open it thanks to its wide-mouth design. So grab one today. Life is better with Blue Waters.
Coming soon! The same excellent Lucilec service in a new location near Gablewood South. Thanks for your patience.
It's my life and I want more. More time, more power. Pay my Lucilec bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card. Pay direct to Lucilec, my account. I have the power, yeah. Pay online to Lucilec, my account. Anywhere, any day, any hour. Lights are on at home. No more standing in line, no more worrying about my bill. Now I'm all paid up. Got more time to chill, yeah, yeah. Pay my Lucilec bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card.
Introducing the all-new 500 ml Eco Bottle from Blue Waters. It's easy to open and full of great-tasting sodium-free artesian well water that doesn't spill when you open it thanks to its wide-mouth design. So grab one today. Life is better with Blue Waters.
Coming soon! The same excellent Lucilec service in a new location near Gablewood South. Thanks for your patience.
It's my life and I want more. More time, more power. Pay my Lucilec bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card. Pay direct to Lucilec, my account. I have the power, yeah. Pay online to Lucilec, my account. Anywhere, any day, any hour. Lights are on at home. No more standing in line, no more worrying about my bill. Now I'm all paid up. Got more time to chill, yeah, yeah. Pay my Lucilec bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card.
Welcome back to the National Individual Track and Field Championships. Joining us now is Honorable Prime Minister Alan Shastney. Welcome, welcome.
Great to be here.
All right, so how have you been enjoying our championships?
Very, very good. One little sad part is that we really were hoping that we would have had Soufriere ready for today. You know, the facility is ready, but sadly we've not been able to get it certified as yet because of COVID. But other than that, just seeing the kids participate and knowing what at stake, it's really fantastic.
Yes, that has been one of the biggest things for us is during COVID, getting our athletes to continue to compete and to continue to be excellent. And like yourself, you've been a sportsman yourself, so you understand what it is like that you need competition. So what words of advice do you have for our young athletes competing here today?
You know, sports is just an amazing thing to be doing because it really helps you develop as a person. And so even after today, and if you don't qualify to go to the next level, the memories are going to be fantastic, and certainly what caused you to be competitive here are things that carry through to you in life. But as you were saying, the goal that we really have as a government is to improve the competitiveness. And so you have some clubs, but the goal is to be able to have clubs in about 10 zones of the country to allow us to have more competitions on a regular basis. So certainly when you speak to the athletes, St. Lucian athletes that have left here, that's been the biggest thing. It's just not consistent enough in terms of the competition.
All right, and you said that the Soufriere Stadium is not ready. Do we have a date or anywhere, a timeline that we should be ready? Because our athletes are really hoping to have a place of their own. Like, you know, the George Odlum Stadium is also a hospital.
Yeah, well, I think that the days of the stadium being a hospital are coming to an end. We can actually physically see
Great
that
news.
the other hospital is coming ready, so we just have to finish the roof so that there's no water going in and then they can get to the drywall. So we're really in a very shortest period of time ready to move out. We've opened up the Groslay Sports Academy, and again, there are facilities there for athletes to be able to practice on a regular basis, and our top athletes now have a school to go to which they can actually be a dorm. So for the years that certainly when I was involved in sports, the national basketball team was almost 100% athletes from the north. and the athletes from the south really were excluded simply because they couldn't make practice. So this academy now really solves that problem for the first time. All your top athletes now can go up to that area. In terms of Soufrière, the facility is physically ready and completed. The lights have been done. All that's really missing is for the IAFF, I think it's to come down to certify it. And because of COVID, that's been a problem. We were hoping that we could do it online. We're still hoping that we might be able to do it online. So again, all we're missing is the certification. But certainly the persons who built the stadium and the track in particular built it to be of international standards. So I don't think that we're going to have any difficulties in becoming certified.
Great, great. That's really, really great news, PM. And we're at the National Championship. So what is your favorite event to watch?
To watch?
Yes.
I'm like everybody else, the 100 meters. You know, but when I used to play, when I used to run, I was the 200, and really I used the 200 for training because my sprint was the 400, and I just never got to like the 800.
Yeah, I don't think anybody likes that event.
That's a tough race, and I also did the high jump.
Oh, nice.
So those were really the sports I loved. And I don't even know if you still do it. In my day, we used to do the mile medley. Is that still going on, where we used to have a 400, two 200s,
No,
and an 800?
we don't do those very often anymore.
Okay. So I always used to do the 400. I remember one time the guy who was doing the 800 got sick, so they put me to do the 800. I think I cried the whole night.
All right, PM, it was very nice having you. Any last words for us?
No, look, I know that a lot of the athletes are coming down from the States and around the world from St. Lucia to participate in order to get qualifications. Some of them who want have Olympic hopes, and the other ones from a CONCACAF, putting our team together. And look, we want to grow from strength to strength, and I just really want to thank all of you for the dedication that you've had in very difficult circumstances and continuing these programs. And certainly the idea of volunteerism, to be involved in sports, is important. And I know probably not so long ago, and certainly in my day, the athletes had to do everything. We had to pay for the lights, we had to get money, raise money to get uniforms, we had to organize our own tournaments. And so certainly what we're doing right now with the facilities we're creating, the intent is that the National Lottery Association will be absorbed into the Gaming Authority, so that the regulatory side of the lottery would be done by the Gaming Authority, but the money now is going to go into a Youth and Sports Authority. So now we're going to have a dedicated entity focused on just building athletics or athletes in St. Lucia. So from an athletic perspective, there would be the 10 zones, there would be a season for track and field, and all of the clubs would be encouraged to have multiple disciplines. So a club would have basketball, it would have cricket, it would have track, hopefully swimming would be one of the things that we're going to be offering, tennis, so that we'd have a season every year for the different sporting events, and then everybody can concentrate on it. But the big one really is to get the parents and the ex-athletes to now come in as administrators, because the strength of that program is going to be on that. I mean, for instance, you know, I always use it as an example, the Aquatic Center. They do an amazing job. You know, they have 7 clubs in one location sharing one facility. And we've seen the number of kids that have gotten scholarships. And the same thing with athletics. We've seen the number of kids who have gotten scholarships. I mean, a person I'm very fond of and I really admire her is Julian Alfred.
Yes.
Hopefully that she will come down tomorrow. Sadly, her Olympic hopes were ended because of the hamstring that she had. But I know that there's some other athletes now who are coming in from Texas A&M and from Missouri, and it's great to see them coming back, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them doing well.
Yes, and we're excited. A lot of the athletes have started competing today, and we'll see them in the finals tomorrow. So we hope that you pop by for the exciting finals.
I will be here tomorrow.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
PM.
Four by 100 meters women about to get underway. may just have 4 teams in this one, it looks like. In fact, 5 teams. With survivors in lane 2.
That's where I was heading in the mother.
Yeah, I saw you heading.
Go ahead, you see that time.
Thank you.
I pull it there from survivors. Rockets in lane 1, survivors 2. Ghostly Athletics is in lane 3, Pace Setters in 5, and Night Riders in 6. It looks as though Signature Sports Academy is out, Monstars is out. Naomi London, just on screen a little while ago there. Pace Setters, back on the screen. And London is going to anchor her team.
And Terry, this is our first set of relays for the year, and I believe
Yes.
since 2020. So it'll be interesting to see what the handoffs look like. And
Absolutely.
We know for 4x1, that's one of the most
Yeah,
important.
well, we already spoke about it being a little bit rough for some of the athletes who are competing for the first time, much less to be doing a relay for the first time where you have a degree of coordination between teammates whom you may not have seen too much of for the past 12 to 18 months.
And it looks like Hannah Charles will be the anchor for Rockets, with Tomika Valse, fresh off the 800, will be the starter. We see Maya Hippolyte anchoring for SP Survivors, Naomi London anchoring for Pace Setters. And they are off, and it looks like
Very strong start for Survivors, but here come Pace Setters as well. Pace Setters very much in the mix.
looks like Survivors takes the lead there on that second handoff. Going into the final bed with Maya Hippolyte as the finish, and she's off, and they're clear in front. Charles has a lot of work to do, and she's covering a lot of ground to try to get in that second place position, but it's a little too far for her to catch up there.
survivors with Edward, Estefort, Augustine, and Hippolyte, who win the national title in the 4x1 women. Trying to see if we can get a time there. 50:54, it looks like. Or it's 50:54, I think, is the time for second place. As for pace setters,
and we're heading into our final event of day one of the National Individual Track and Field Championships here at the George Odlum Stadium. It'll be the men's 4x100 meter relay. We just witnessed the final of the women's 4x100 meter relay unofficially. SP Survivors for the win. In lane 1 for the men, in lane 2, sorry, we have pace setters. In 3, SP Survivors. In 4, Elite. And in 4, Elite. And in 6, we have Rockets Athletics Club. So it looks like only 4 teams will be competing in this final. Again, in 2, pace setters. In 3, SP Survivors. In 4, Elite. And in 6, Rockets Athletics. In this event, we see a couple of our finalists in the 100 and 200 meters. Issa Francis will be running second leg for pace setters. We have Latin Nicholson, SP Survivors on the second leg as well. We have Gavin Donai of SP Survivors on third.
Bailey, long-time coach, technical director for the Athletics Association,
has also been named the chef de mission for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. So he will be going with that team over to Tokyo. Looks like there was something wrong at the start there.
and Mr. Ale having a little bit of a talking to with the lead-off runner for pace setters.
We're not sure if he's going to get disqualified. He just stood up out of the blocks when he was already under starter's orders, so. Well, it looks like he's been given the all clear. The team will compete. That would be pace setters in 2, SP survivors in 3, elite in 4, Rockets Athletics in 6. And they are off. We see Amani Modest there leading the way for elite. That's Royal St. Omer and Latin Nicholson on second. We have Gavin Donai for survivors in third. And that will be SP survivors again, Shano Henry. The fight for second, and it will be elite taking its second, pace setters taking third.
That's the last of our national championships crowned here on day 1. Survivors winning the men's 4x100 meter relay. Convincing fashion. And we will return tomorrow.
Looks like there are 2 red flags up in the final exchange of the men's 4x100 meters. So
Can't see what lane they're in, but there's also, I think, if we can get a view down the home straight, you're trying to get the attention of the track referee. There's also, of course, a question here as to whether they're thinking perhaps of handover zone violation, which may not necessarily be applicable given the new rules for the handover zone coming into force as of last year. But those rules have been applied somewhat unevenly, and of course there's also the fact that, and here's Mr. Breen in fact with another red flag. So we have a number of red flags. So we've crowned the national champion, but it appears that there may be some questions, or there may be some questions regarding the final result of this event.
Again, let me take this opportunity to shout out our sponsors: Blue Waters, Real Foods, Flow, St. Lucia National Lotteries Authority, St. Lucia Olympic Committee, Massey Stores, Finite Graphics, and Albiz.
So a little bit of drama surrounding our final event here today. We've seen very few officiating oversights matters that affect the performances of the athletes. But here we saw at least 3 red flags going up after the race. Usually indicates that there's been some sort of infringement, whether it was that somebody stepped into the wrong lane. I don't know if maybe we can get a look back at the final handover of that 4x1. but certainly there was some perceived infringement according to the track marshals. I think Makiba has been able to discover what it was that occasioned the waving of flags. So we're just going to wait for Makiba to catch her breath. She's not been an active athlete recently. These days,
Really?
she's what are you into these days? Is it
Rugby.
rugby?
I'm into rugby these days.
Good job.
But there was any Rockets. Lane 6 had a difficulty with the exchange at the second exchange. That was the issue. So they're saying that they have been disqualified.
Okay, but they weren't in the medal position in any case. But let's see if we can get a look at. Here's the start. And again, this is something that we could very well see protested, because there is a change to. So it looks like a cleaner. The second exchange, you said. So we're seeing a white flag going up there. So that's fine.
See if we could catch the exchange.
That too doesn't look too complicated. So we're not quite seeing what may have been out of the ordinary. Yes, that looks well within scope. And so the difficulty here is that whatever is reported to have been at issue took place well behind the main action, and so we're not seeing exactly what may have transpired. In any case, as we said, it does not affect, obviously it does affect the final performances of those teams, but it does not affect the results insofar as the medal winners for this event. So we'll see whether it is protested, whether it stands, and how it all shakes out. But for now, that will do it for us from the National Stadium. And the top three is confirmed for that event, the 4x1. And that concludes what was, I think, Makiba, a pretty exciting day and a pretty solid day in terms of performances. A couple of places where we could certainly stand to see some improvement, but I think overall a pretty good day for us.
Yes, it was a pretty good day. It's always good to see the athletes come out and compete. And we know we've struggled between 2021 and coming in this year, trying to fit in some competitions. So the fact that we are having the national championships is exciting, and we love to see our athletes in action. Don't forget to tune in, guys, tomorrow with us again.
Tomorrow, among other things, we will be featuring the finals of the 100, 200, 400 in all age groups, as well as the 4x4. That's going to be on track. The 1500 meters, Marbeck Edgar is going to be in action in that one. We should also look for, yes, the 100 meters. Dylan Edwin is going to be in there. Lenin Leos, Miguel Chalry in the 200. Again, Dylan Edwin will be in action. Amani Modest, Miguel Chalry will all be battling it out. We should also be looking forward to the men's horizontal jumps. Kelly Charles is going to be in there. That we should see in the triple jump as well, the likes of Kevin Norville coming down from Washburn University, and Desron Daisy is in the long jump as well, coming from the US. And also we would be having an event for which Sanusha is very, very well known, and an event in which Makiba Al-Said has been world ranked. In fact, the women's high jump is going to be happening tomorrow. So still a lot of excitement to look forward to tomorrow. So please join us for our broadcast starting tomorrow morning. I think we're getting underway at about 10, Makiba. if I'm correct, at 9 in fact, 9 with the 5,000 meter run. So 9 a.m. the 5,000 meter run. I think Tariq Zavi is entered for that one.
Also Michael Bissett.
Michael Bissett. So it should be a pretty exciting start to the day. So join us please live on our various channels for further coverage of the National Championships. Until then, Terry Finister with Makiba Al-Sid signing out and saying thanks for joining us.